What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be NFL, baseball, games, news, highlights. And we do have a game to recap today. Happy Friday to everyone as well. But it won't be baseball. Finally, we got football back. Even if it is the Hall of Fame game, first day of August, though. Sign around the corner and now second day. So, just great to see overall. And Nick, first preseason game, couldn't quite even finish it due to some, storms. But, just felt good even seeing some of the guys like in the picture here. Herbert, who's gotten some run in the NFL, guys like Davis Mills for the Texans, who was starting for them for, I believe, the majority of the 2022 season before they drafted CJ Stroud. He was getting a lot of run. And Nick, we can go, many different ways, but kind of, what was your favorite thing or, big takeaways from this game?
What I kind of liked seeing, at least the most, was just the new rule changes, at least with the kickoff. Because up to until last night, I kind of understood, what it was, they line up 10 yards apart. But to actually see it and how it works in game was kind of cool. The game itself was actually not a bad game. It did get rained out, but there was actually points scored. It wasn't like 10-3 game going into the third quarter. Both offenses were actually showing up pretty decently.
Well, we saw
Davis Mills. Good.
We saw some legends in this game. Case Keenum, got 2017 Vikings quarterback, one that will never be forgotten in my mind. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, you're all right, though. The biggest takeaway is probably the new NFL kickoff rule change. And I've always been very curious of how some teams are going to approach this because I feel one team is just going to have some sort of strategy that, may not work throughout a full season because, they do film or something. But when they need it in a pinch, they have, some sort of play, like a run play. They'll try and break through. And I'm very curious because I've seen teams like the Vikings, for example, with this new kickoff rule, they haven't practiced it in front of the media at all. They don't want the media knowing, what their plan is for it. And when asked about it, the coach, just kind of said, oh, yeah, brush it off. So I'm very curious, I feel like maybe some teams, hopefully the Vikings, at least, have a play or a couple, things that they can do with it, to make it work. Because overall, I think it really could be, something pretty cool. And it was good to see that. That was probably the most important thing, despite how good the QBs were playing, unless some unfortunate injuries happen, we're not going to see Brett Rippon out there throwing 3 touchdowns again. But, even for him, he's fighting for that backup QB spot and, or QB3, he looked amazing. So, that there's that. And overall, just kind of probably that was, I agree, probably the most fun part was the first part, just to see what it actually looked like. And, I'm curious how many flags are going to be thrown, middle of the season, if a team starts a foot early before he catches it or something.
Right. Another thing that I think we should talk about, we didn't really talk about it yesterday because the rules kind of just came out, but the new onside kick rule where it's now so strict on not only how you do it, but when you can do it. You can only do it in the fourth quarter. When you're losing, you have to announce that you're doing it. It takes away the whole entire purpose.
I just don't get it.
Neither do I. I completely don't get it because it's not like teams were, getting onside kick recoveries at an insane clip. It was still really hard to get an onside kick.
I feel like they needed to figure out a way to make it more of a chance that they get an onside kick. I heard a rule where it's say it's the Bills Chiefs playoffs game, Chiefs up 10 with 2 minutes to go, Bills score, touchdown. Instead of, doing an onside kick, they propose a rule where it's a 4th and 15 basically for the Bills. And if they get it, they get the ball back. If they don't, then the Chiefs get the ball. So you let the Bills.
I think that rule is actually in the USFL or something where they do that. It's 4th and 25 or something. And if you get it, you get the ball. But I think if you do something like that, then if you don't get it, the team gets the ball wherever you were either stopped or where the ball was snapped if it's an incomplete pass. But I definitely think something like that is on the way. If they're making
That'd
all,
be really cool.
I
I
think that
would
would be
say
really
that,
cool.
and then
It might be
my team
safer.
loses because of it. I'd be so
You,
pissed.
you, yeah, you'd probably see more teams convert it, more teams try it, throughout the game. Like say they've got momentum, say, or they have a wide receiver matchup. Like say a guy like Justin Jefferson is on just some garbage cornerback all game and he's just cooking him. Like, why wouldn't you try that one time and just like have him just run up the sideline or run up the seam and boom, you got another possession because the guy can't guard him. So I think that's
If
definitely
I'm
on the way.
Yeah, if I'm a team, might be risky, but I'm blitzing the crap out of it. Don't let them get it off early. Don't let them have time, and
That
I'm
could
always
be the
worried
case,
about.
but then if they throw something short and just run it up, you're screwing
Well,
yourself.
blitz, I'm not. Yeah, you gotta make sure you have guys on the back end, but I'm worried. I'd be very tight if it was like an incomplete pass, but then they call holding on the defense or something. It was just like, oh, what is this now? Like how would the penalties work if there was like, like a holding call? Is it like now 4th and 10, or do they automatically get the ball? Like what?
Right. That's true.
That's rules that I'd have to figure out. But yeah, no, that new onside kick rule. I mean, I just don't get the point of it. But now,
Neither do I.
we'll always have the Saints Colts iconic, coming out halftime kick, and just some of those that were very cool while we had them. But that can no longer be no more because for now they'd have to tell the Colts, hey, we're planning on onside kicking outside, but they can't even do it until the fourth quarter. So, Ian, they have to be losing. So I don't get the point. But
I don't need because like you just said, and it just takes away the entire point of doing an onside kick. Like when you do an onside kick, usually it's in a scenario where the other team that's receiving probably knows you're going to do it, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can catch them off guard where they're sleeping. And I don't know, you've probably seen the Pat McAfee clip where he literally just like kicks a ground ball 10 yards and recovers his own onside kick. It's stuff like that is really cool. And it keeps the team on edge. It keeps you having to prepare for everything. And now it's almost like teams can literally go through practice, go through special teams and be like, we don't have to worry about onside kick because it's not going to happen until the fourth quarter. And when it does happen, they have to tell us that it's happening. So it's like, it just takes away from, what it's been for so long, which sucks. And I just looked it up.
Does.
I just looked it up. In 2023, the recovery rate for onside kicks was 5.2%, which is like that's nothing. That's like 1 or 2 recoveries, which is what are we doing? Like why is
Even
this?
then, I just can't remember the last time a game was won because the team recovered the onside kick, went down to score, then maybe goes into OT or something.
I want to say the last time I remember it happening, and I don't even know if it did, was do you remember the Joe Flacco Jets when they started out? Like they had this crazy comeback against the Browns, I'm pretty sure in like week 2. I think they might have recovered an onside kick then, but I could be wrong. They could have just, gotten a turnover for all I know.
Yeah.
But
I remember the Falcons in typical Dan Quinn fashion choked against the Cowboys in like 2020.
Yep.
But that was really like the last time I remember an onside kick really affecting the game. It just, I haven't seen it really, so I don't get the point of already trying to numb it even more. But, it is what it is. But with that being said, obviously, this it will be interesting, like you said, to see the new NFL rules. And obviously, we didn't see much yesterday, but, teams like the Bears or Texans, if they did have a play, are not going to flash it in preseason where they score a touchdown. They're just going to, run it up the middle and, hope to break through. That's just kind of that. But overall, definitely for me, star of the shows where, seeing some of these new rule changes be in effect. And probably, you got to give a shout out to these quarterbacks, guys like Davis Mills, who back up to CJ Stroud. There was even some argument based on the way he played. He wasn't bad in 2022, despite how bad the Texans were to keep him as a starter and draft somewhere else. But, obviously the Texans went the CJ Stroud route, which has proven, to be nothing but great so far. And for the Bears, Bear Rapids Liggett, Tyson Badgett didn't really play a whole lot. But that is what it is. I'm very, but everyone's gonna be very curious. More so next preseason game for the Bears when guys like Adunze probably take the field, Caleb Williams, and kind of see those guys. I assume DJ Moore and Keenan Allen will still rest because especially a guy like Keenan Allen, he doesn't need to be out there because he's been in the league for so long. He knows what it takes.
Right. I'm a little higher on Davis Mills, just going back to that, than maybe most people. I think he's a really solid backup. He, even in their year where they were 3-11 or 3-12-1, something like that, he still, I thought, looked pretty solid. I think he's a solid backup for sure, which we saw last year how important that is. Like a team like the Bengals where they had Jake Browning and he filled in pretty good for the Bengals. They just ended up,
Josh Dobbs those first two games.
Yeah.
That's
so teams are going to be realizing that backup quarterback is extremely important with, all these quarterback injuries, because we saw a lot of quarterback injuries last year. I mean, CJ Stroud went down for a few games, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. We see, Lamar get hurt every now and then, which usually screws the Ravens because then they got to put in like Tyler Huntley, which no offense to him, just like he's not winning you games like Lamar is. So
you're talking about a Pro Bowl right there, a Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley.
That was wild. That just took me off track because I forgot how wild that was that he got a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, but there have been some really bad ones. Like, oh gosh, I think Xavier Rhodes' last season with the Vikings, I think he was arguably like a bottom 10 corner and everything. Touchdowns allowed, passer rating allowed, and he got invited to the Pro Bowl. I was like, what the hell? Like,
just so many guys opt out because they know it's like such a joke. Like the Pro Bowl is
especially now, just with it's not even like a real game at all or anything.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like a Madden tournament, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
So
for NFL, that's probably the best part. For NFL, they're definitely, despite how good the league is, still probably the best league. They definitely, just don't find a way to make the All-Star or Pro Bowl games.
Yeah, the NFL has by far the worst like All-Star game or All-Star weekend, whatever it is, out of all four major.
But at the same time, I also want to give credit where credit's due. I think it's the hardest one to hit because most of these guys have just went through a brutal long 17-plus game season where, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like some of them are just coming off playoff losses. Like, do they really want to be, they are just more like, going full pads, full throttle, risking an injury for next season just because it's the most injury-prone sport. I do think it is the hardest to come up with a game in the NFL's defense. But I also think, they could have done a better job with something. But, I think like baseball, you're at an easier advantage because, it's still at the end of the day just a baseball game. And it's still iconic. They do the home run derby and stuff, make it fun. But, I think it is hard for the NFL in a little bit of a way.
No, yeah, I agree. Like with how grueling of a season it is, like you said. And correct me if I'm wrong, did Joe Burrow say that they should do like a mid-season All-Star game or mid-season Pro Bowl or something? I feel like I saw somebody say that.
Someone I think definitely did.
I don't know if it was Joe Burrow, but
which I like what he's getting at because you're still in season form, but at the end of the day, does someone really want to get hurt doing a full in-season game? Like if your team's 9-1 to start the year and you're the quarterback, and then you take a sack the wrong way and your ankle is cooked for the year. I mean, if I was that team, I'd riot the shit out of it and be pissed. So it is what it is. But there's got to be something. Eventually one day I think we'll have it figured out. But for now, the games is a joke. But at least the guys are showing up and doing it, so it's whatever. I do like the placement accuracy stuff and the skill set challenge. Best catch. But,
I think if I were to rank, I would say number one, I think it's MLB, All-Star weekend with the home run derby and the All-Star game. Then 2 is probably the NBA with 3-point contest, dunk contest. And then some of the times the All-Star games are good. Some of them are just garbage. And then I would say even NHL is better than the NFL just because the NHL skills challenges are cool to watch. Just it's so tough.
Yeah. I mean, you could honestly, put either. I
You
might
can't put the Pro
NHL
Bowl
and
in the
NBA.
NHL team.
NHL and NBA, I think you can flip flop maybe because I mean at the NHL it looks like they're at least trying a little bit more. I mean, I just was laughing last NBA All-Star game with Luka and Jokic. It was like they were just passing back and forth until they hit the rim. So they were not, and Nikola Jokic was not going up for that. So it was almost like they were treating it like a huge joke, especially I guess before media and the commissioner, was emphasizing like a serious game. So take that with what you will. They did not get that message across to the players who just kind of, were kidding around. But, I do like the NBA 3-point contest, with, Sabrina, Steph Curry. That was cool. See my boy Carl dropped 50 last All-Star game for forgotten legend performance. But yeah, overall, very, very, they got some things to work on, but overall, yeah, and NFL definitely probably the most far behind. But with that being said, just be glad football season's right around the corner, and meaningful preseason games where we're going to see the rookies out there is really, really close within like a week stretch. I believe it's next Thursday. We have our kickoff with the Patriots. Patriots should be having, hopefully, I assume, maybe Drake May snaps, maybe Jacoby Brissett, see the first team offense a little bit.
Maybe Joe Milton snaps. I've been hearing talks of Joe Milton that I'm taking with a grain of salt, but people are saying that he's been the wow quarterback of the training camps so far. So we'll see if he gets snaps preseason. I think he will because he's probably fighting for that third string spot.
Yeah.
Like Bailey Zappi, and I would take Joe Milton over Bailey Zappi any day.
Joe Milton or Drake May.
That's what some of these analysts are questioning right now is Joe Milton.
I did see like something with rough date training camp for Drake May, but I think Drake.
How about we give the kid more than 2 months to prepare?
I'm just saying though, Joe Milton. If you, no, it's every team's getting called out. You see on NFL memes, picks going left and right. JJ McCarthy when he can't rush the ball to who was the running back? Blake Corum, I think, for 30 times. And that's a pick, and then poor Caleb Williams getting some bad. But you gotta have the haters. Haters make you better. And if you're gonna be on top one day, even Tom Brady, you gotta have haters to be on top. So it's always good to have people watching over you. With that being said, it should be very fun. So we'll see Knicks Patriots within the next week. I believe they play the Giants, and the Giants obviously have a lot of question marks.
They play the Panthers.
Oh yeah, I've found them. I'm definitely trotting out Daniel Jones to see if he can do anything. We'll see, but overall, should be a very fun upcoming weekend. But it is Friday, so good to end your week with some football. And if you haven't already, at least watch the highlights, the kickoff rule, and see Brett Rippon and Case Keenum, Davis Mills throwing dimes. But with that being said, let us know in the comments what your guys' biggest takeaway was. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. We'll catch you next one. Peace.